Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to yet another freezer cooking video. If you watch my videos, you already know this, but if you're new to my channel, I recently gave birth to my son Logan, and before he was born, I wanted to try to, prepare the best I could for his arrival. And I heard so many new moms say that they wish that they had freezer cooked before they gave birth, and I'm super picky about my food, so I decided to hop on that bandwagon. So yeah, this is part 2. If you want to see a video with more freezer cooking ideas, I will link that down below. And with all of that being said, let's hop right in. Okay, so today we are starting off with, I feel like this is like a classic freezer cooking meal, and that is lasagna. So I started off by pulling out some mushrooms that I had frozen in my freezer that I did not buy frozen, but that, speaking of the whole like freezer meal thing, that is another thing that I freeze now. Anytime produce is about to go bad, I chop it up and freeze it. So that's what those mushrooms were. And then I also had some fresh mushrooms on hand, and then some zucchini and white sweet onions. So I chopped all of those up, threw them in a pan with some Kerrygold butter, added some salt and some pepper, and cooked all of those up. By the way, I make it a rule to pretty much add as many veggies as I can to any dish I ever make if I'm cooking the veggies, because A, I love the taste of veggies, and B, they cook down a ton. So it always looks like it's potentially too many veggies, and it never is, at least not for me. Oh, by the way, that is chicken cooking up on the pan. So I wanted to make a creamy pink sauce. So I started off by making something that I think is called a roux, and it's basically just butter and flour. And I cooked that together, added, I believe, a bunch of veggie broth, some heavy whipping cream, and some white wine. I've told you guys before, I don't really follow recipes. I just look at lots of different recipes and ideas and kind of just like change as I go. But I get most of my inspiration from Pinterest. So if you want to see like what's inspiring me, check out my Pinterest page. That rhymed. Check out my Pinterest page. Just throwing that out there. I have tried to make recipes out of different things that I've made over the years. And so the recipes that I have made are up on my blog. And that's also where you can kind of shop the different rooms in my house. I've gathered everything that I get a lot of questions about and put them into a little shop page on my blog. So yeah, recipes, shop page, all on my blog. So I added some cheese. I believe that was just like a mix of cheddar and Parmesan, and I whisked all of that together. And then I just kept adding veggie broth and cheese as I pleased. That was another rhyming sentence, until I felt like it was the consistency I wanted and it was ready. So then I threw the veggies and the chicken into the sauce. And then I just built my layers in these foil baking trays that I had picked up from Costco a while ago. So then I just layered everything down, and this is how I made it pink. I put down the creamy chicken veggie sauce and then added some jarred tomato sauce. And then I also decided to throw on some organic spinach. Then I put down another layer of lasagna noodles. Now, side note, I got a lot of questions about what you can freeze in my last video, and two things I kind of want to hit on here. One, a good way to know what you can store in the freezer is to pay attention next time you go to the grocery store at the freezer aisles, because there's so much that we buy frozen that we don't even think about. And then when you slow down and think about it, you realize, wait, if they could cook it and freeze it, I can too. So yeah, maybe that's super obvious to some of you, but to me, that like made the light bulb click. Oh, by the way, that's mozzarella cheese that I'm laying down. Jordan Page here on YouTube talks a lot about freezer cooking and was the one who kind of opened up my eyes to how much could be cooked for the freezer. Second thing, someone asked me in the last video about bread products being frozen, like if they change consistency or they're really that good when they're thawed. And I was floored because yes, bread, I was like, oh my gosh, that's like the best thing to freeze, to just have extra bread on hand and be able to freeze things like muffins and cookies or whatever. I have had nothing but incredible experience with freezing bread products. That was kind of random, but we are making something carby right now, so just thought of that. So after the lasagna layers were built, we wrapped the top with aluminum foil. And then we threw all of the lasagnas in the oven, I believe at like 400 degrees, and then set the timer for like 40 minutes to check back and just see how it was going. So once the lasagnas were done, we let them cool for a while and pretty much waited till it was like, I don't even know, man, room temperature maybe. And then we just cut all the lasagna into single serving sizes and then put them in Ziploc baggies. We have loved freezing our food this way versus putting like the entire lasagna pan in the freezer, because A, it stretches our food even farther. Sometimes when you thaw something, if it's large, you still might not eat all of it. Or if you're like me and you have leftovers, you don't necessarily want to eat that all week. I'm such a picky eater. Or maybe I want one thing and Dan wants another thing. So storing food like this has been, I keep using the word fun. Like in the last video, I described what I was doing as fun, but I guess that's adult life. It has been fun. All right, people, so now we're moving on to my favorite food group, and that's Mexican food. So I decided to make these taquitos. So this is what I used, and I've changed this recipe up a bunch of different ways. This is literally just like what I had on hand today and decided to make taquitos out of. So I put my beans into this glass bowl. Then I grated some cheddar cheese that I have from Costco. I pretty much only like using block cheese, not pre-shredded cheese, because pre-shredded cheese has like a coating on it that I don't want to be consuming. So that was random, but there you go. I shredded up some cheese, threw that into the mixture with the beans, and stirred everything together. Then I took some organic coriander, added that to the mix, as well as some organic cumin. Cumin is the weirdest flavor to me because I honestly think it smells like BO, but I literally think it tastes so good. And then I used these canned chipotle peppers that Dan picked up earlier in the day at Aldi. It was just like a random thing he saw and he was like, I don't know, I felt like you could make something with it. And let me tell you, these chipotle peppers made these taquitos. Like, it's what made it taste so unique, so yummy, and I loved it. So I stirred everything together. By the way, I was simultaneously watching homesteading videos. I'm getting so excited for our spring garden. So anyways, watching those videos, rolling up taquitos, having a good time. By the way, I was putting them on this tray to stick in the freezer. I did not pre-bake these taquitos like I pre-baked the lasagna. I just wanted them to freeze in these shapes. So once they were frozen, then I could put them in a bag. Now, something random I thought I'd show you of me freezing are these sun-dried tomatoes. Sun-dried tomatoes are supposed to last a long time, but I can't eat them fast enough, and I love the sun-dried tomatoes from Costco, and so I have become obsessed with freezing things in ice cube trays so that they're smaller servings, and so that's what I decided to do. They were really hard to pop out though, so I wish I had done them in like silicone ice trays. By the way, I feel like this makes me a really lazy YouTuber, but this is actually footage from the previous freezer video that I forgot to put in, but I thought I would show you because this is how I ended up storing the Cajun chicken pasta in these individual Ziploc baggies, and then I stack them, and then I put them in the freezer like in a stack like that. So I decided to make some more smoothie bags. So today I made one of, I was gonna say my favorite flavors. I really loved the cherry almond one that I made in the last freezer video, but this pear vanilla oat smoothie was so good. I pretty much just used frozen pears that I had chopped up when I went crazy during pear season and bought like boxes of pears. I couldn't eat them all in time, so I froze a bunch of them. So I used a bunch of those pears in this pear smoothie. Oh, by the way, another question a bunch of you guys asked was how the smoothie bags turned out, like if they were easy to blend, if they actually tasted good. And it's so funny because I had wondered the same thing, and that was the reason I had never done them prior to this. Like, I didn't think liquids would transfer well. I don't know, I was just wary of it. I have eaten probably like 50, I don't know, 60, 70, I don't know, percent of the freezer or of the smoothie bags, and they have all been so good. Seriously, so good. Everything froze well. I was shocked. You literally just dump the contents into your blender, add your liquid of choice, and blend, and it was amazing. So, all right, back to the smoothie. I added a bunch of oats. Oats are one of the many foods that are known to promote breast milk. I also added some coconut MCT oil to each bag and some organic vanilla extract. I also added a scoop of organic, raw, unfiltered honey. I'm obsessed with this honey. I mentioned this in the last video. If you didn't know this, raw, organic, unfiltered honey is very different from regular honey, and it's so delicious. So another thing that I had to make for labor, delivery, whenever, were the peanut butter stuffed dates. These are so good. I've fed them to multiple people. Everyone has loved them. I've already talked about them in videos, but I just wanted to show you me making them again because these freeze so well. I actually think they're 20 times better out of the freezer. So I knew I wanted to make myself a bunch. So I started off by chopping up these Enjoy Life chocolate chips, and then in a little glass bowl, I put some organic peanut butter. I added the chocolate chips that I chopped up, as well as some vanilla extract to the mix. Then I cut open all of my dates. These dates are from a company called Julie's, and so I've never been a date person until my pregnancy, when I was reading that dates can help with a speedy labor, which is ironic because I only had a 10-hour labor. Don't take that as like any claims about dates. I was doing a lot of things, but I just think it's ironic. So anyways, I started eating these during my pregnancy, but I didn't know where to begin. Dates kind of grossed me out. So I decided to order off Amazon, and I was reading reviews, and these Julie's dates had incredible reviews on them. Like I said, I haven't really tried any other dates, but I will just say I've liked these dates. They've been delicious. And backing up, I also added hemp seed and flaxseed to this mixture as well. And then I took a couple of them and decided to add white chocolate chips on top for Dan, because Dan loves white chocolate chips. And then I added a little bit of my favorite chunky sea salt to the top, because salt and sugar, in my opinion, were made to go together. Oh, so good. Now, one other random freezer tip and something I did for myself was I bought this cranberry jalapeno La Terra dip from Costco. It's so good, but I can't get it all the time. And it's also so big. Like, that's a lot of dip to eat, even though I love it. So I divvied it up into 3 containers and froze them. And I will tell you, I've already eaten all of them since then. It froze amazingly well. It was so good. Now, moving on to my freezer, this is the after. So I still had stocked my freezer with a lot of like store-bought foods as well, but we just organized everything so well. And when I say we, I mean my sister Shayna and I. Shout out to you, Shayna, for being the most helpful person ever. We had taken everything out, as you saw in the first video, completely inventoried everything, and then restocked it in a way that made sense to me, that I could easily direct Dan on from like upstairs in the bedroom. So I was able to tell him by looking at my inventory list on my phone what I wanted based off knowing what I had. And I also had the number obviously listed in the inventory. And then because we had organized it, I was able to tell him, oh, it's in the skinny freezer on the second shelf in the back. So all of this, I'm so grateful not only to my past self for doing this, but I'm also grateful that I had the time. A lot of you guys commented in the last video that you had wanted to do something like this, but your baby ended up coming at 37 weeks or 36 or whenever. And that's the thing, man, labor is unpredictable. I thought for sure I was going to be one of those people to go to like 42 weeks, and I delivered at 39. I feel like that kind of summarizes our entire approach though to pregnancy and now having Logan here, that we're just kind of like taking everything as it comes, doing what we can, doing what feels right. And that's kind of how I want to leave this video. If you're watching this video for ideas or inspiration, which I'm assuming you are, or you're a mom that's about to give birth, just keep reminding yourself these are all great things to do, trying to take care of your future self and your health. But whatever you're supposed to get done is what's going to get done. Just go with the flow, take some deep breaths, breathe in for 4, breathe out for 8. So yeah, be sure to check my info box for today's video giveaway. I appreciate you guys so much, and I will see you back here soon with more day in my life videos from right before I gave birth to Logan. And with that being said, that's all. Okay, bye guys.